Hey everyone, Alexander back at you with another video. Today I am here with Aaron Reyes. He is the founder and owner of Tribe Fitness, and he is here today to talk his inspiration, his perspective from being an entrepreneur, a combat veteran, a medic, and his creative process, what keeps him going. So Aaron, thanks for being here. We've been working together now for almost a year, and I've worked out with you, I've worked professionally with you, I've hung out at barbecues with you, we've gotten to know each other, and it's always a great time. What do you got going on? Let's just start there. What's up in the world of, it's been a while since I've seen you, so what's been new lately?
Oh man, I think we're a brand. I think we're a recognizable brand in the area, and it was a lot before, meeting someone in person. They're like, oh yeah, you're the gym guy, right? To now, I mean, the more clients I get, they're populating through actual search engine optimization on website. They're going, yeah, I found your website and, no questions needed. I want to get started with you. Love what you're doing, or they're finding us through socials or they're finding us through word of mouth. We are, I think, building a great reputation in the area. And I think that it is bar none far from where we were grassroots a year ago when we were just doing a Tribe Fitness branding campaign. Like, who even is this person? We've kind of become the muscle nerd gym. It's a running joke between the clients that it's the place where you come to get strong and nerd out about your body. So I think we've really established that in the area as, hey, go to the muscle nerd gym. Go to the one where these guys are smart, guys and gals are smart and educated, and it's beyond just do this movement. It's, hey, here's the why behind that movement. So I'm really proud of it. I'm proud of, just shy of a year, we have developed a presence in the area. And I think that it's great to be here. It's great to be here doing that.
You started a year ago, and a year later, have you met all the goals? Has it exceeded your goals or expectations? What's been the process like? I know it's just like with business, everything's long-winded, but what's been did you think it would be like this, or?
So there is no ceiling when it comes to my goals. It is just, your mind is expansive. So every day there's an opportunity to come up with a new way to grow the brand, right? To have a further reach that extends beyond locally. How do you touch the region? How do you impart this information nationally? How do you affect and help more people? Because ultimately we're here to help, and we have a conglomerate of people that are just so smart. We have a great physical therapist and a great nutritionist, and there's a really solid strength and conditioning coach in there. I think it's, not putting a ceiling on it and being open to opportunities and not locking yourself in too soon. So as things have expanded, I've dipped my toe in, some of the digital world of digital programming and working with, as a consultant. I've dipped my toe in what does it look like to, utilize the space beyond just training, but a creative space, right? Using it as maybe a studio for rent or a place where we come in and conduct training and do maybe, a clinic, a health clinic, a health and nutrition clinic, a wellness clinic, a barbell clinic. We just have such really, really well-educated people there that are such an asset, and it's tapping into all those assets and not putting a ceiling on what you can do as far as strength, health, wellness, and fitness go.
What separates Tribe Fitness from everybody else is your approach to functional fitness. It's not so much the aesthetics, it's not the gym bro mentality, it's really just starting at the basics. Can you talk to us a little bit about what makes Tribe different, functional fitness, and your views on fitness overall, and where you see some deficiencies or shortcomings in the fitness industry as a whole?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the state of personal training, we'll try to refine it to that. I think the state of personal training is in a rough place right now. I think that a lot of people went and started leaning heavily on creating a digital presence. Hey, I'm going to make online programming and I'm going to try to sell these programs, which again, it can be fiscally, it can be rewarding for, that trainer, but I just think nothing replaces getting your eyes on someone and watching every single repetition and specificity and making those spot checks and making sure that they're doing it right. Now there's that component of it, right? Now with that component of it, you see a lot of people that go, well, you'll see older trainers even tell younger trainers, hey, no one cares what certification you have. Hey, no one cares if you have that certification. Hey, you don't need a certification, and people are selling stuff online to a broad array of people, and some of them are not even actually certified trainers, let alone have a master's degree or a doctorate in the field. But it's dangerous. It can be dangerous. You can hurt someone. And I think right now a lot of people will say, hey, and this is one that I've heard really, hey, I don't have the cert, but I learned a lot of it online. I saw it on YouTube. I saw it on Instagram, right? Well, the problem is with that is, and again, this goes back to the state of personal training. These people are trying to sell a product, right? The same way I would try to sell you something, I would try to sell you a product. I'm not going to give you everything. So you're not actually getting everything. You're getting a component of that product, right? You're learning a little bit, but you're unfinished. You are unfinished because you haven't actually ascertained that certification or attended that certification or gone through that level of education collegiately, right? So now you're taking that why behind the movement and you're trying to execute that with a prospective client, but you don't know why you're doing it, and you don't have the layers of progression to support why you're at this movement pattern today versus why they should have been at progression 1, progression 2, right? And that to me is dangerous because we need to be out there actually ascertaining these qualifications. We need to have these pieces of paper, although, I'm a lifelong learner, so maybe I think about it differently, but I think that having that piece of paper makes a difference. Hey, I do have this certification. Hey, I did attend the full 8 weeks. Hey, I did attend the full 12 weeks. Hey, I did go to school for this. Hey, I have been through anatomy and physiology multiple times. The value at Tribe is derived from the fact that the trainers at Tribe did it. They went out and they got the degrees. They went out and they had the experience. They went out and they got the certifications. They've invested heavily in themselves, myself included, to make sure that we can express to you the why as to what you're doing. And it separates us from not just what's happening in the digital world, but the physical space that exists in this area. I think we have increased the value of what a personal trainer can be. We have bridged more the gap of clinical care, physical therapy, prehab and rehab with what a physical personal trainer who's well knowledge based can do for people. Truly to be preventative medicine, truly to give them the capacity to not be injured in the future because they're moving their bodies well in the present.
What keeps you building Tribe and creating content when it's not easy or profitable? So basically, what's your source of motivation in terms of the two aspects of your brand, which is one, working with clients and fitness in general, and then two, the content creation behind that. How do you find that the two intertwine? What's your process for that?
Yeah, so a friend of mine told me that you always want to look busy. You know who said that? So you always want to look busy. And you know what, that's very important because no one wants to go on a dead Instagram, a dead Facebook. No one wants to walk into a space and be like, am I the only one here? Am I the only one who comes here? And it's just showing consistency that you're always doing something. There's always someone in there. Even if it's a silly video, it doesn't have to always be, the highest end production because we can't always do it that way, but just having someone in there grabbing some photos and getting some stuff of interactions and the client experience, it's really important. It shows people that there's people involved, and not everyone wants to be the first one of anyone, of anything. So seeing other people do it motivates them to potentially do it as well. I think another aspect of that is that we are showcasing our skill set. There is one person who maybe is going to scroll through that content and they are going to do a deep dive on your page and they're going to find your YouTube and they're going to really do the research to find out who it is that they're making a financial investment in for their health and wellness. And that's what that stuff's there too for. So it's not just, hey, I hope I get a lot of likes and views. You know what? It's for that one person who needs to know what it is we present to you, how we present it, and if it's really the right fit for you. Yeah. And it's that one person, because that one person could be the difference of a lead who converts, right? They're not just scrolling through, or someone who never finds us and gets what they're looking for because we don't have enough valuable information that we're presenting. So the content creation is super important to stay relevant and active.
Yeah, and something you said a while back was you see a lot of online influencers that are talking about all the clients they have, when in reality it's just like a show. They're not actually working with clients. You're actually working with clients. Same as like in the photography aspect, you have photographers who are great up front on Instagram. They look amazing, but then they haven't really worked for any clients in reality. So there's that facade and that show, and then there's actually doing it. Yeah, two different things.
The relevance, it's also being a practitioner. You need to stay practicing what you preach. I need to be able to still execute plyometrics to show an athlete what a plyometric looks like. I need to be able to load correctly and frame correctly so that I can show them what that looks like. And I need to be able to see different people too. I need to see the older individual with a knee replacement move and I need to see what works for him. What variance do I need? What variability and adaptation do I need for his program that is way different than the healthy 20-something-year-old pre-collegiate male? They're not the same movement patterns. The more eyes you get on people, the better you get. Physically standing there and watching the variation in movement will make your eye more keen to that in the future. And not everyone's the same, everyone's different, but the more patterns I can identify, the more muscular deficits or imbalances or loading patterns that need correction, the easier it's going to be for you, the more clients you see. So I would never want to completely, dismiss online training, but I also would never want to give up having a physical presence with clients, because that's what gives you the edge. That one case that was different, that one client that was different. You say, hey, you know what? I have seen something like this before. And you call back and you pull out the information and you employ that movement pattern for someone else in the future.
What's your workout routine like these days? Are you training every day? Are you taking a rest day? What's your routine like?
So summertime for me is a little different. I take 2 days away from the gym to do endurance-based training. I'm an avid cyclist. I'm not a pro or anything, I from time to time will ride with another group of people out here called the RVA Dad Bod Squad. I've done quite a few charity rides, actually. The reason that I like to ride is because I like to do a few charity rides a year. So it gives me the motivation to train is to be able to participate in those rides every year. Some of them are 70 miles, some of them are 100 miles, some of them are, up in the mountains. So staying consistent in my routine, and having the flow of, hey, it's winter, I'm not riding as much versus it's summer. So right now I'm riding 2 days a week. On the weekends, I'm putting in between 30 and 50 miles. During the week, I'll settle for 10 to 15. And then my workout is the routine is more centered towards endurance, higher volume, just being able to have a better what's called a lactate clearance threshold, not cramping up as much.
And then you work out with your clients too.
And I do movement with the clients. Yeah. I'm not doing nothing with them because I'm executing movements so they can see them. I've greatly tried to reduce the amount of movement that I do with the clients though. My physical therapist that works in-house smacked my hand and was like, dude, your traps are super tight and this and that. She's like, you can't show someone something 10 times. Just show them once, twice, make sure they get it, make the spot corrections. But she's like, I see you. You're always trying to grab an extra rep here or there, an extra swing here or there. She's like, they probably got it after the third one. You didn't need to do 10. So I try to reduce that, give my body a little more rest, worry about my endurance right now, and just kind of keep strength training. Strength is the foundation, and
So you were working out, basically staying active 7 days a week then, or?
Saturdays is the day off. Saturdays is the boys' soccer.
Yeah.
So the boys have soccer. Saturdays is family. Saturdays is just home. It's my true, pure recovery day. I'm saunaing or, walking with the kids and the family, doing a morning walk. It's not a passive day, but it's not a full strength day. It's not, hey, it's strength or endurance or athleticism or whatever one of those 6 key characteristics is that I like to program towards. It's just a day to let the body have a day,
All right, so I like to ask questions that are fluid, and then I like to ask the ones we have written down. So how do you stay creatively curious in a world where everything's content now? I think we kind of touched on that, but maybe expanding a little bit more on that. How do you keep the mission of Tribe from turning into just performance or numbers? What helps you grow, stay fresh, and keep it real? So what keeps it real for you with not only you and your brand, but also with your clients? I imagine you have to get a tailor, and you tailor a specific goal for each client. So what keeps you focused on that? So
I have augmented the way that I program a little bit. Like I said, I'm a learner, man. I've been at probably 3 or 4 certifications just in the last few months alone. And that all really always marries nicely with
Which ones?
So I just went to lifelong performance certification through PPSC, Pain-Free Performance. And then I just finished before that the functional landmine course. And then before that, I did an intensive. So I had already been through functional kettlebell training, but I went through an intensive with them that was 8 or 12 weeks online every single day. You're doing something, whether it be the workout of the day or the class or the talking and the Q&A component. And that refined my capacity to program with kettlebells, which I had already done. I was working on my performance enhancement, which is sport specific strength and conditioning stuff. So for me, the way that I'm looking to keep it fresh and exciting is programming different blocks that identify what a client's KPI or key performance indicator is. Now, for me, I've always programmed similarly to the way that that's designed. It's, you prime the tissue like we've always done, you do a little warm up, you hit whatever the key component is of what we came to work on, accessories, do some conditioning work. You want to be holistically addressing all 6 characteristics of fitness, right? So having the client identify new key performance indicators every 4, 6, 8, 10, or 12 weeks keeps it interesting, because we're always picking something to work on. We're never done. We're constantly working on ourselves. We're a full project. I think the mark of a good trainer is that they stick with you, and being able to work in 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 week batches really gives the client something to look forward to, and gives me something to look forward to, challenges me, because when you tell me your key performance indicator is A, but then we say, hey, you know what, now it's B, it totally augments how we change a program and how we address certain things and how we prioritize them in your training. Yeah.
What's been your favorite certification that you've attended, or the most important one you feel you've attended?
I will say, I wouldn't say certification. I think one of the biggest things that I have is because of my medical background, being a combat medic and an EMT, and my foundational degree was in health sciences. I think that's been super helpful to me, because I understand the body a little more deeply than what you would get with just kind of a certified trainer. I can't even tell you how many times I've had to go through some type of anatomy, physiology, biology, bio 2, even just health sciences foundations, and talking about what it is that, how do we convert, adenosine triphosphate, and how much energy comes from one little ATP. Those are the things that I find myself nerding out about with clients, when I could really give them that depth of knowledge. But then taking that further and saying, you know what, I love this tool as a programming tool. For instance, the kettlebell, I love to program it. Your whole program can't be the kettlebell, but it is a very programmable tool. It works in a small footprint. People are less averse to using it because it looks smaller and easier to manipulate. So for me, that was an outstanding pivotal certification for me, was getting certified in the utilization of that bell in a multitude of ways. And I've been able to take that and kind of run with it, and then also add different tools and different things. So now you get not a one-track trainer who's, I just do kettlebells. I do kettlebells, landmine, performance enhancement, this and that. So I think it came from my background in academics, and then extended into other programmable tools that have a wide array of variants. Yeah.
So how do you keep clients motivated? I think one of the biggest frustrations with personal trainers and coaches is like keeping a client or an athlete motivated. What's one of your tools for keeping people on track?
So the big piece of this, personal training. It's a person-centered business. It is a service-based business. It is no different than any of the services I provide in the future. When I was, in service to the country, in service to the Department of State, in service to the fire department, it is service-based. It is about what is going to finish the mission for what's happening. And the mission is the client, right? So for me, it is what is personal to you. Let's identify how this is personal to you and keep coming back to that. Should be a recurring theme. And what's personal to you today isn't necessarily what's personal to you tomorrow. When someone has a child, the priorities change drastically, right? Recovering from that, the priorities change drastically. When you have an injury, the priorities change drastically. When you're preparing for something that's really athletic and dynamic, your priorities change drastically. So understanding the personal component of it, what's making them tick, right? And using that person's own identified, this is important to me now, to help them continue to stay motivated and active. Mm-hmm. And then also being willing to develop with them as those things change, as their life changes, and getting to know them as a person. So you, as a coach, if you're good, you're kind of a chameleon, because you're a different version of you for every person. You're you at the base. You're still smart. You still have what you do what you do well, but I'm a version of me that works for this client. I'm a version of me that works for that client. And I'm a person that they want to be around, still me at the base in my heart, but I'm a version of me that makes it fun to be there for them,
One thing I've seen that I admire about you is you're the same level of enthusiastic about working with a pro boxer versus a senior citizen who's just trying to stay active. So
Yes.
it's kind of cool that you have that dynamic and that range with all different types of clients.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want to talk any about where we live shapes what you do? Did y'all talk?
Yeah, I would just say about the fact that who your clientele is based on where you're located.
Mm-hmm.
You're only training in person right now.
Yeah.
Maybe excited to expand online. So it could lead into talking about that.
Okay.
Like the type of client.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so cover that. How does where we live shape what you do? Does the area inspire? Okay, so I get it. Based on our location, you cover clients. Well, you do online programming for anyone anywhere, or is it just local to Virginia? How's the? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah. Well, I'm just trying to tee them up really to say right now I'm training this specific set of people in person, but what I do it translates to kind of anywhere. I'm limited by by the fact that it's in person, but not for much longer because I'm online.
Mm-hmm.
Growing online.
Growing online. Okay, so your presence online is growing. We've seen how coaches can interact with clients all over online. You're offering programming one-on-one. What's the future hold for you in particular on online training and working with clients remotely?
Right. So the market that I'm in right now, it's local, right? And what I find myself, who I find myself working with more often than not is other dads. This is a neighborhood. It's a family area. This area is traditionally been where you leave the city and you settle. It's pretty suburban. It's close to the city, but you leave the city and you settle. And a lot of that leads to, young families, new mom who wants to get back into movement, dad who hasn't moved athletically since high school or college, right? Helping them get back to a semblance of the person they remember, making them feel athletic again, formidable again. Those are really the primary people that I find myself working with in person. What I'm trying to do is reach the digital space and work with more people who really anyone, because these characteristics of movement and health are foundational for all people. When I say that, I keep referencing these characteristics, and what it is we all need to be strong, right? So it should be strength first. We need to be strong. We need strength. We need hypertrophy, right? That's the aesthetic component of strength, and strength training is how do I look? Do I look the way I want to look, right? You have cardio and conditioning, right? That's your cardiovascular health and things like that. You have your mobility, right? Mobility is the ability to keep moving, right? How do I get up off the floor, okay? Athleticism is a key component to how do I continue to move athletically. And athletically is not, I'm going to play a sport. Athletically is how do I respond to ever-changing circumstances. And it could be as much as making a pass across a field and turning laterally, or it could be just catching yourself from falling off the ground, And you look at those characteristics, and every person needs those characteristics. So I think that when you share that out to people, say, hey, you know what? The foundation of all things is strength. In order to build all these other components, you need to be strong. And that changes the view and the mindset of people from just, oh, well, this is just for that person. No, this stuff's for everybody. We all want longevity. We all want to be here moving well for as long as we can to chase kids and grandkids. We all want to put more birthdays on the calendar, right? And I think that that's a major part of this, is that helping people to understand that, yes, I work with this type of people now, but all of this can be converted to every person,
And then, and that was all the bullet points. I think we covered some good things, but I feel like there's a little more to cover in terms of who you are and your brand. Is there anything in particular you'd want to cover that you think would be good for, say, like even website, or well, I know we're just doing reels here, but we're filming for anything really. So
yeah.
Let's talk a little bit. Let's cover the business side of things. What was a learning point for you when it came to building a gym? We're past the working with clients and all that. Now we have a brick and mortar spot where you have to have things like insurance and you're paying bills. So what was a learning curve for you as a new business owner? And I say new what have you learned this past year of operating a business?
So initially, my thought process was that I'm the asset, right? My knowledge is the asset. My skill sets, I am the asset, right? What I've come to learn more is that the facility in and of itself is an asset. The equipment within that facility, the high price point on that equipment, the quality of the equipment, the maintenance of that equipment, the cleanliness of that equipment, the cleanliness of the space, those are all individual assets as well that can be quantified when you look at pricing, right? For not only your services, because it's giving them access to an exclusive facility that is designed very nicely and has high-end equipment in it, and also for the trainers that work at my facility as affiliates. So you have to consider how well can they market themselves in a space that is well designed with great equipment in it versus how well do they market themselves in a box gym where everything's kind of beat up and you're fighting for equipment all the time, right? So those are components of, hey, what is the value of what I've created beyond me as the asset alone? So I look at that and then I say, okay, the space itself, right? It's very well designed. People think it's cool. I find it to be very cool. We're always adding things, whether it be, cubbies for your shoes or throwing some flags on the wall or a little new piece of equipment that people can play with, just kind of trying to keep it always improving your foxhole, right? So for me, the facility in and of itself should be somewhat of a revenue driver. Now, for me, in the beginning, I was very, very opposed to having open gym because to me, the exclusivity component is what we sell our clients, and that's never going to change. I don't believe that that's something I'll ever change. What I can do, though, is take those clients that have a relationship with each trainer and offer them the opportunity to access that facility, maybe on the weekends via a weekend pass, so that they can come in and follow the programming that myself or another trainer has designed for them, right? And go in and execute those movements in a space that, one, they're comfortable in, two, I'm comfortable with them being in because I know them personally, right? And three, that they respect because they know I'm a local small business owner who every single piece of that equipment was self-sourced by me. And it matters to me. It makes a difference as to how I keep the lights on, right? Another component that I've thought about is the space prime for content creation? I think that that's something we talked about early on, right? It's very well done. You have the ability to change the lighting. We put sound panels in there, We've done things to make it more conducive to putting together really nice content that you can be proud of. And I believe that that's something that hasn't been tapped into fully yet. So, on one hand, you say, well, do I generate revenue via opening the gym to potential, active clients? Or do I generate revenue by opening the gym to people who are creatives and say, hey, would you like to do a shoot here? Would you like to do a small production here? Would you like to film your client doing a tutorial video here for your brand? To me, getting out of my own way and saying, no, it's got to be my stuff only. I think that you have to think from a business standpoint. Remove the part of your heart that says, no, this is my baby. This is all my stuff. It's just my gym. This is just my vision, just me in here. You gotta make money at the facility because the facility has to be a revenue driver too. I can't work forever at all hours of the night, all the time, and I can't believe or trust or hope that anyone's going to work as hard as me. So I can't say, all the trainers are going to generate revenue too. So no, in my world, I pretend that I'm the only one there. And that if everyone left tomorrow, could I keep the lights on? Absolutely. Because I know I'm in there early, I'm out of there late, I'm generating other interesting revenue streams, and I'm willing to take a step back from the personal approach of, no, it's just my stuff, to, what? We got to make this place make some money at all times. Yep. It should be generating some money at all times.
You could pick 5 exercises to do the rest of your life. What are they?
5 exercises for the rest of my life.
Yeah, you can only do 5.
Only 5. Okay. Definitely swinging bells. Just your foundational kettlebell swing.
Okay.
Bulgarian split squats, right? You gotta get the front C's. The deadlift, right? The king of strength training exercises. Your whole body gets rigid. You're loading the posterior chain. You're getting the front. You're getting a braced core. The squat, right? Got to build the meat muscles there, okay? And I would say, I don't want to be too basic, man, but I'm going to say something press related, but not like your strict push press on a bench. I'm talking like landmine press, because at least you can sneak in some rotation there, so you're getting a little bit of core. So I'm going to say those 5.
Those are solid exercises, full body type workout.
Swings are inherently, they actually get your back really well.
Yeah.
And, loading the posterior chain is something that a lot of people have trouble with when they're sitting in a lot. So you're looking at the deadlift and the squat, but everything requires core bracing. And then if you can add that press with some rotation, you'll be all right. Yeah.
So as we close out, give me a 30-second sound clip to someone who has never heard of Tribe, is interested in personalized one-on-one training. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and Tribe in like 30 to 60 seconds, and sell yourself for a minute?
My name is Aaron Reyes. I am passionate about being of service to others. I have been of service to others for years, whether it be for the Army, for the fire department, serving the federal Department of State, and this is a way that I provide service. I take all the education that I've ascertained, and I take it and I pour it into you. Personal training is personal. And I want to get to know you as a person. I want to identify what matters to you as a human being and help you put more birthdays on the calendar, whatever that looks like for you. So please take a chance. It's really, it's fair to be nervous to start your journey, especially when it's been a long time in your life. But you have someone who can sympathize with you. I've been through it. I've started over again. I've had the surgeries. We're here to help. We're here to help, and we take the collective base of knowledge that we have and we share it amongst each other to give every client the best individual experience that they can get.
Very nice. Any other ideas?
I would just say, like, what's next? What's next for you? What's next for
Yeah, we could talk a little bit about what's next for Tribe. Is there I know you mentioned at some point expansion. Is that still happening, or what's on the calendar? What's on the horizon, I should say?
So the gym has been, in my eyes, very successful. Like I said, people know who we are now. We have identified ourselves. We all have kind of like a little individual character. My 25-meter targets up front are get another really great trainer in there. I want another trainer in there who adds some more value. Maybe they're an athletic trainer. Maybe they have, a kinesiology degree. Just something that gives us, again, just keeping us tight and rounded and bringing that muscle nerd knowledge every day. My other thing is expansion. Yes. I was in the process of working expansion with the landlords. Some of that stuff has kind of fallen flat recently. I went ahead and got all the approvals and did all the things you need to do from a business standpoint, right? You get the insurance quote to cover the construction. You go out and you get the approval for the loan. My current loan isn't an SBA loan, so I wanted to get a loan that covered my previous loan and the loan for the expansion to roll them both under an SBA loan for the government protections, right? So I went ahead and got them. I got a loan approved. I won't say what the number was, but it was a good loan. It would have covered everything, and it would have also allowed me to roll in my prior loan to that loan. So I was sitting on it. Unfortunately, the landlord, couldn't get some things ironed out in time, so that's kind of frozen. But we're a year in. We have 2 more years in our current location. At the rate we're going, we're absolutely going to be looking to either A, expand horizontally, B, create another space with some different offerings, or C, get a bigger space outright, have a component that's strictly designated for personal training, the exclusive experience people have grown to love, and then also have something there that is still very bespoke, very personal, but allows you to touch a wider array of people. Maybe they come in and get the memberships and, give our trainers more access to some more resources.